This lesson is part of Media, Mobiles, and Ministry, which is a curriculum set of over 40 lesson plans covering 4 different topic areas: foundations of media ministry, mobile ministry, social media ministry, and do-it-yourself mobile media creation. You can find more information at www.mobmin.org/train.
This lesson is number 9 in the Do-It-Yourself Mobile Media Creation section and is part 2 of 2 lessons that cover the topic of editing video on a cell phone. This lesson is a continuation of the process of editing and what is involved to prepare a finished video for distribution on various social media channels. In this lesson, we'll learn about B-roll and the use of illustrated video. We'll talk about common transition types and what they can mean. We'll talk about adding titles and text to a video. Talk about adding and mixing audio. Talk about the importance of a review. And lastly, we'll learn about outputting and rendering finished video. This lesson is a continuation of Mobile Video Editing 1. If you've not yet gone through that lesson, I would suggest you stop this video now, complete lesson 1, and then come back to this lesson. Lesson 1 covered the steps involved with editing a video up through the initial rough edit. This lesson starts with the rough cut video and will finish it through to final output. So let's begin by talking about B-roll, or additional supporting video or still images. The term B-roll dates back to the time of film. The A-roll contained the main content of the production, and the B-roll contained any supporting shots. Even though today we do not use rolls of film, the term B-roll is still used to refer to any video used as insert or cutaway video. It is used to cover over edit points if needed, or to help illustrate what is being said on the main track. For example, if the main clip is a person talking about a car, the B-roll could be a shot of the car on the road, illustrating for the viewer what is being said on the main track. B-roll can be either video or still images and photos. B-roll is generally added on a second layer on the app. There's a phrase commonly used in video production: show it, don't just say it. A video is more interesting to watch when we can show something and not just talk about it. After all, it is a visual medium. This is the role of supplemental video, to illustrate what is being talked about on the main track. Some apps, such as PowerDirector, KineMaster, Cutin, and others, easily allow you to add a second video track without affecting the audio of the main track. However, other apps, Vlogit, Filmora Go, etc., are a little more difficult to add a second video layer. A second video layer can be added by using the PIP or picture-in-picture effect, and then resizing the picture-in-picture to be full screen, completely covering over what is on the main video track. The end effect is the same, but how you get there is just a little different. Other apps don't allow for either a second video layer or picture-in-picture at all. These apps are more suited to simple one-layer video projects such as a vlog or how-to videos. So now we will begin to fine-tune the edit. Look through your video one clip at a time and check that each clip has been trimmed and that you have removed all the parts that you don't want. Do you have all the content that is needed to tell your story? Have the start or end of any words been clipped? Do you only have the content needed to tell your story? Or is there extra content that is unnecessary, repeated, or may be confusing to the viewer? Remember, shorter is almost always better than longer when creating a video. Don't use clips or portions of clips that you don't need. Take time to really look through your video. Are the clips in the best order? Is the story clear? Will the video keep the viewer interested? Do you need more supporting or illustrative video, B-roll, to keep it interesting or to help demonstrate what is being talked about? Remember, it is more effective to show and not just tell. Think about how the clips now flow together. Is the pace or timing good? Does it feel rushed, or does it feel like it's too slow? If it feels rushed, then maybe you need to make each clip a little longer in length. Try dragging out the start and end trim points for some clips. This will add a little time between when the action or dialogue in one clip ends and the next starts. Or if it feels too slow, maybe the trim points need to be moved in, having the effect of speeding things up. Watch the scene through several times, refining cuts and making sure the pacing feels right. There is no correct pace for a video. Video is an art and you just need to adjust and edit until it feels right for the message you wanted to communicate, and also for the target audience who will eventually watch it. Now we need to think about adding transitions and cuts. A transition is simply the point when the video moves from one clip to the next. There are many types of transitions, from straight cuts to fades to wipes and dissolves. This lesson we'll focus on the three most common: the straight cut, the dissolve, and the jump cut. The straight cut is when one clip ends and another begins immediately. This is the most basic and commonly used type of transition. And as you can see on the slide here, a cut is when clip A ends and clip B starts immediately. A dissolve is when one clip dissolves into the next. A short dissolve has a softer feel to it than a straight cut. Sometimes using straight cuts all the time can make a video feel a little harsh, and so I often use a half-second dissolve when editing video, just to give it a softer feel. 1/2 second is not very long, but is just enough to soften the feel of the video. A longer dissolve, say 1 or 2 seconds, is often used to represent the passage of time. A dissolve is when clip B starts before clip A finishes, and the image on the scene dissolves from one to the other over a period of time. The third common type of cut today is the jump cut. The same as a straight cut, except it is not changing from one clip to another, but rather from one part of a clip to another part of the same clip. For example, when you cut out an unwanted portion of someone talking to the camera. The audio sounds fine, so long as you don't cut in the middle of a word, but the video appears to jump a little as it passes from one portion of the clip to the next. The jump cut used to be not considered a cut at all, but was considered a mistake. But now it has become an accepted transition, especially between two segments of the same clip, where someone has cut out an unwanted portion of a clip and then just joined the two segments together. You'll see it often on YouTube and in vlogs. Now a word about special effects and 3D transitions. Many apps come with a library of transitions, such as a star wipe, a hard wipe, a checkerboard, and so on. These types of effects should only be used for very specific situations. In general, your video will have a more professional look if you do not use this type of transition. Stick with straight cut, dissolve, or a jump cut if needed. Only use special effect transitions if there is a specific purpose for it and it helps you to tell your story to your audience. One special effect that is recommended is adding movement to a still image, pan and zoom. Adding movement to still images can make them more interesting to the viewer. Many editing apps allow for movement of still images. It can be side to side, up or down, zoom in, zoom out. Is often referred to as the Ken Burns effect after the man who popularized the technique. How you do it is similar in most apps. Basically set the size and position at the start of the clip and then again at the end of the clip. Then when the clip plays through, it has the appearance of movement even though it's just a still image or photo. When using this effect, I think that subtle movement, a slow change in position or size, gives the best effect. Too much becomes too distracting and can be hard to watch. A good opening to the video is important to keep people watching. Marketing professionals tell us that we have about 7 seconds in which to capture a viewer's attention and for them to decide whether or not they're going to watch the video. A good opening is important. You may decide just to start the video with a compelling clip that will draw your viewer into the video. Or you may decide to start with a graphic with a question that the video is going to answer. These first few seconds of the video are the most important since they may decide whether or not the video is watched. Don't waste them. If you are going to use an opening title in your video, you have a number of options. You can create it as part of the same video project. You can create an opening title as a separate video project using the same app. Or you can use a different app such as Canva, Overlay, or a light motion to create still and motion titles for your video, and then add them to your editing app along with your other video clips and still images and so on. As with all text that you add to a video that will most likely be viewed on a phone, make sure that the font size is large enough and the font type clear enough for the text to be easily read. Next, we need to add any text or titles that may be needed, such as names or locations. When we're adding text, there's a number of things that we need to consider. Firstly, the size of the text needs to be large enough to be read easily on a mobile phone, but not so large that it completely covers the video behind it. Then the font style, or the font type. Fonts come in lots of different looks and types. Choose a font that both fits the feel of your video, but is also easy to read. Then we have to consider what is behind the text. Is the text easy to distinguish from the video behind it? Choose a font color that may help it to stand out. Maybe it also needs a dark edge or a shadow. Some editing apps allow for these options in the font settings. There needs to be enough margin between the text and the edge of the video frame to ensure that the text is not cut off. And finally, read time. The text needs to be on the screen long enough for people to read it easily, but not too long that it becomes a distraction. Next, we'll talk about adding music and voiceover as a narration or commentary to your video. Voiceover or narration is a commentary that helps you to tell your story. If you want to add a voiceover to your edit, a fast and effective way is to use your phone. Most phone editing apps allow you to record a narration directly into the app. To do so, you need to first find a quiet room and then speak your lines directly into the phone. There are a couple of techniques to recording directly into the editing app. The first is to hold the phone normally as when you're making a phone call. I find this method usually gets a good result, but the problem is you cannot see the video playing as you record, so it may be hard to get the timing just right. A second option is to hold the phone flat, keeping the microphone a few inches away from your face. This avoids popping, which occurs with bursts of air like with a P or a B sound. You can watch the video play as you record the appropriate lines of your commentary or narration. Another option, if you have one, is to use an external microphone plugged into your phone. With this choice, you get both a good sound and will be able to watch the video as you record. Experiment with your phone to see which is the best way to record your narration. Another audio component that you can add to your video is background music. Make sure that you choose music that has the right feel and pace for your video. It is better to use instrumental music, that is music without vocals, if it will be under any dialogue or talking in the video. If there are vocals or singing in the music, it will compete with the dialogue for the viewer's attention. And then there is the issue of copyright. You must ensure that you have permission for any music that you want to use in your video. This is especially true if the finished video will be posted to social media. The use of copyrighted music without permission will often result in the video being flagged or even removed from the social media site. Many video editing apps include a library of production music that is usable in your videos for free, and so I would suggest that this is where you look first for any music that might be suitable for your video. After recording any narration and finding and placing any background music, the next step is to mix it all together. The balance between the various audio tracks, the dialogue and the music and so on, is very important to the overall quality of the video. People are lazy. If they cannot hear easily, they will stop watching the video. In fact, the quality of the audio is probably the most important factor in the whole video. People will put up with less than optimal video, but if they cannot hear easily, they'll stop watching. Adjust the volume of each audio track to get a good balance between the dialogue and the music. The dialogue should be easily heard over the music. On most editing apps, clicking or tapping on the clip will bring up the option to adjust various settings of the clip. One of those settings is the volume for that clip. Some apps also allow for the volume to be adjusted for each track as well as each clip, as is shown in this screenshot from PowerDirector. A good review is important to catch all the errors that may still be there, or to discover things that could be changed to improve the overall look and feel of the video. A good review will also involve other people. A fresh set of eyes and ears will help to find any issues that need to be fixed. Save and output the final video, then watch it and ask a few friends to watch it with you. Look for edit points that can be adjusted, clips that can be shortened, colours that need adjusting, volume and balance of music and dialogue, etc. I suggest you watch it through several times, looking for errors that need to be fixed, and also for things that could be changed to improve the look, the feel, or the sound of the video. After you've watched the video and got feedback from your friends, it's time to go back to editing the project. Adjust anything that you noticed during the review or your friends notice that needs to be changed. You may want to go through this review and refine process a couple of times. It's amazing how many things you don't notice the first time through. Reviewing it multiple times will really help you to catch any errors that are still in the project. Now you are ready to save the final version and output it or render it. How you do this depends a little on where and how the video will be used. Many apps allow you to output the final video directly to a social media platform, and typically in these instances the app will automatically output a file with the best settings for that social media platform. Most apps will also allow you to export a file to your camera gallery or to an SD card. I think it is a good idea to always save a video to your phone or to an SD card in the best quality possible, even if you have already directly exported it to a social media platform. This will allow you to use the same video for other purposes. When you save to a phone or to an SD card, most apps will give you a choice of output quality. Use the highest quality settings available in the app. There are 3 different things that will affect the quality and size of the file. Those are resolution, frame rate, and bit rate. Resolution, if possible, choose a frame size of 1920 by 1080. Sometimes it is just labeled as HD. The frame rate should be set to the same as the project setting and, if possible, the same as the original video recording. The choices usually are 30 frames per second, which is standard for the US, 25 frames per second, which is standard for elsewhere in the world, and 24 frames per second, which is standard for film. And lastly, bitrate. The bitrate determines how many individual bits of information are required to display 1 second of video. The higher the number, the better the overall quality, but also the larger the size of the file. Some apps, like PowerDirector, Cutin, Quick, etc., just give a choice of quality settings. Other apps, like KineMaster as shown here, allow you to choose a specific bitrate number. A higher quality video with a resolution of 1920 by 1080 will often have a bitrate of between 4 and 8 megabits per second. When you've finished editing your project, you want to save the highest quality master file that you can. However, when preparing content for distribution on an SD card or in a Wi-Fi hotspot, you may want to have a smaller file, and also to make sure that the media will play on as many different phones as possible. There are several different types of video files, but not every phone will play every different type of file. Most smartphones today will play videos that have an MP4 file extension and were encoded with the H.264 compression standard. But older feature phones will only play a file that has a 3GP file extension and was encoded with the H.263 compression standard. You may need to compress the file or change the encoding type to ensure that it plays on your target devices. For a more detailed lesson on preparing media for distribution, refer to Mobile Ministry Lesson 4, Mobilizing Existing Media, in the Media, Mobiles and Ministry curriculum. When converting or compressing video files, it is often better to use a computer if one is available. Free software, such as Handbrake, can be used to compress a large video file down to a smaller file that is more suitable for SD card distribution. Alternately, if a computer is not available, Video Compress or Video Format Factory are free Android apps that will work well. Converting or compressing video on a phone requires a lot of processing power. It can take a long time depending on the phone being used. Now it is time to practice what we've been discussing. Open the project you created in Mobile Editing 1 and do the following. Add supplemental video clips as B-roll or illustrated video. Refine the start and end points of each clip and use the appropriate transitions between clips. Add text and titles as needed. Add audio, music, voiceover, narration, commentary, whatever may be needed to help tell your story. Mix the audio tracks, achieving a good balance between the music and the dialogue. Review the video with some friends. Make adjustments as needed. Output the final video using a high quality 1920 by 1080 setting and then share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. This has been Mobile Video Editing 2, which is Lesson 9 in the DIY Media Creation section of the Media, Mobiles and Ministry curriculum.